Hi, subscribe to the channel, new stories every day. Let's get started. I'm 39 years old, living in a quiet suburb near Dallas, Texas, where I work as a manager for a logistics company. My wife, now soon to be ex wife, Marissa, is 33 and used to teach yoga part time. We have a daughter, Elena, 9 years old, who's the light of my life. On the surface, we seemed like an ordinary family with a cozy house, two cars, and a schedule that ran on coffee and elbow grease. But beneath that normalcy, I sensed something had changed in my wife. I ignored the signs until I saw it with my own eyes. Over the past few months, Marissa started acting distant. She'd come home later than usual, citing extra yoga sessions or errands. She was glued to her phone, smiling at texts or shutting off the screen when I came near. She avoided intimacy, saying she was too tired or stressed. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was overworked or going through a phase, but the more she pulled away, the more it hurt. We hadn't had a proper date night in ages, and every conversation about it led nowhere. Our daughter, Elena, sometimes asked me, "Dad, is Mom okay?" I didn't have an answer, so I'd say, "She's just busy, sweetheart." Looking back, I realized I was in denial. Love can blind you to the obvious, especially if you want to believe your marriage is stable. I told myself we'd figure it out eventually. One Tuesday morning, I left for work at my usual time, giving Marissa a quick kiss as she sipped coffee. Elena had already left for school. I drove about 20 minutes before realizing I'd left my phone on the kitchen counter. Since I had a busy day with important calls, I turned around to retrieve it. I arrived home around 8:45 a.m., expecting Marissa to be out teaching a class or possibly still at home finishing morning chores. As I parked in the driveway, I saw the front door was open, and there was Marissa at the threshold, pulling a man inside by his tie with a playful grin. The man, maybe late 20s, looked delighted, stepping in eagerly. They disappeared behind the door. I froze at the wheel, heart pounding. Did I really see her pulling a stranger into our house, laughing flirtatiously? My stomach twisted. I turned off the engine, deciding to investigate. Maybe there was some misunderstanding, but something told me I already knew the truth. Quietly, I exited my SUV and approached the door. I gave them a couple of minutes, in part out of shock, in part out of a twisted desire to catch them in the act, so there'd be no doubt. Then, swallowing my anger, I used my key and slipped inside. The living room was empty. Faint voices came from the kitchen. My heart hammered so hard I could scarcely breathe. I headed toward the voices. When I turned the corner, I saw them, the man's tie half undone and shirt partially unbuttoned, and Marissa leaning against the counter, looking ready for more. They both stared at me, mouths open, panic flooding their faces. For a split second, none of us moved. Then rage overcame me. I lunged toward the man and struck him square in the jaw. He stumbled back, nearly falling. Marissa screamed, "Grant, stop." The man, eyes wide with fear, scrambled upright. I hissed, "Get out of my house." He needed no second invitation. He dashed down the hall and out the door like his life depended on it. Then I turned to Marissa. She was trembling, tears welling in her eyes, arms half raised as if to ward off my anger. I can explain," she stammered. "Explain what?" I roared, my voice shaking. "That you brought a man here in broad daylight to our kitchen." She tried to speak. It just happened. I was lonely. I never see you, and you think that justifies cheating right in our home." My chest felt tight. She sobbed, "I'm sorry, I swear I never meant." I cut her off. "Don't. Just don't. Pack your things and go." Her eyes flared with panic. "Grant, please talk to me. We have Elena. We can't just—" I glared at her. "Don't bring Elena into this. You didn't think about her when you decided to fool around with that guy, did you?" She started to cry, babbling something about stress and feeling neglected. But I refused to listen. "We're done, Marissa. Get out before I lose it." She tried once more to approach me, but I stepped away. My heartbreak was raw, overshadowed by anger. "Leave," I repeated quietly, "or I'll call the cops." Marissa eventually gathered enough clothes for a suitcase, all the while pleading or cursing under her breath. I followed her to the door, arms folded, tears hot in my eyes, but refusing to let them fall in front of her. She left, presumably to stay with her mother. The front door slammed behind her. Then I was alone in the house that still smelled of coffee and betrayal. I nearly collapsed onto the sofa, heart thundering, trying to process what had just happened. I wanted to scream or break something or collapse in tears. Instead, I just sat there, numb, until I remembered Elena would be back from school in the afternoon. I had to figure out how to tell her her mother was gone. When Elena got home, she sensed immediately something was wrong. The house felt tense, half of Marissa's stuff scattered from the frantic packing. She asked, "Dad, where's Mom?" My heart clenched. I gently pulled her onto the couch, saying, "Sweetheart, your mom did something that hurt me a lot, so she won't be living here anymore." Elena's eyes went wide. "Why? What happened?" She started to cry. I rubbed her back, tears forming in my own eyes. "It's hard to explain, honey, but she broke my trust. It's not your fault. We both love you." She sobbed, "But I want her here." My chest hurt like never before, but I had no choice except to comfort her. "I know," I whispered, "I'm sorry." Over the next days, the reality sank in for Elena. She'd ask about her mother or want to call her. At first, I let her. Marissa's mother was telling Elena it was just a misunderstanding. That stoked Elena's confusion. But soon after, Elena overheard me on the phone with a friend describing the affair. She put two and two together. Mom had a boyfriend. She asked me, voice trembling. I nodded reluctantly, tears in my eyes, yes. She said she was angry at her mom for hurting me. "I want to stay with you, Dad," she insisted. That broke my heart all over again. Sure enough, my phone rang constantly from Marissa's mother, Evelyn, who insisted I was overreacting, that I must have been mistaken, that my wife wouldn't do such a thing. I saw it. I told her. I confronted them in the kitchen. She tried to say it was only a friend or someone she was tutoring for yoga. My temper spiked. He had his shirt half off, and they were hugging intimately. That's not a normal friend scenario. She huffed and hung up, continuing to proclaim it was all a big misunderstanding. My own parents, however, had my back. They told me to stand firm, that if she truly cheated, I had every right to demand a divorce. Some neighbors heard about it, either from me or from seeing the drama. A few expressed shock. A few said they'd suspected something. The betrayal cut me deeply. Not only had my wife cheated, but she'd done it in our house, effectively spitting on everything we built. I wasted no time contacting a divorce lawyer. My house was mine before marriage, so that was straightforward. Marissa wouldn't have claims on it. We had only a modest joint account, so dividing finances would be easy. The main question was custody of Elena. My lawyer said her mother's affair would help my case if I asked for primary custody. I nodded, determined that Elena was safer with me. The memory of seeing them in our kitchen spurred me on. I had to protect Elena from her mother's choices. A few days later, papers were filed. Marissa tried texting me, "Please, let's talk." I'm sorry. She left voicemails. I ignored them. She claimed it was only once, that she'd explain everything, but I was done listening. She gave short visits to Elena, but Elena was upset, barely talking to her mother. Eventually, Elena confided, "Dad, Mom just keeps saying it was an accident." But that makes no sense. I'm sad. I held my daughter close, heartbroken for her. I know, sweetheart. We finally met in a lawyer's office to finalize the divorce settlement. Marissa arrived looking tired, hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes red from crying. She tried one last time to get me alone, to say she loved me, that it was a mistake. I simply told her, "I can't trust you. It's over." The sadness in her eyes was real, but so was my resolve. The settlement was quick. I kept the house, plus all major assets. She got a small portion of our savings, and we arranged for me to have primary custody of Elena. I offered her visitation rights, though Elena said she didn't want to stay overnight with her mother. After the signing, Marissa looked devastated, whispering, "I never meant to lose you." I gave her a final weary glance. "You made that choice," I replied softly. Now, a few months later, I live alone with Elena in our house. Well, not quite alone. Elena's there, brightening my days with her presence. We do chores together, watch movies on weekends. She misses her mom sometimes, but she's also resentful. She told me once, "Dad, you're all I need," hugging me fiercely. My heart both sore and ached for her. Neighbors occasionally ask how I'm holding up. Some have also seen Marissa around with that same younger man or heard rumors that she moved in with him. I don't dwell on it. I'm focused on rebuilding a life where Elena feels secure, where I can eventually open my heart again. My mother in law occasionally tries to text me some new spin, but I block it out. Denial doesn't change the facts. Of course, the memory of that moment, seeing Marissa drag that man into our house by his tie, still stings. The image is burned into my mind. Sometimes I wonder if I had worked fewer hours or been more romantic, would it have changed things? Possibly. But ultimately, she chose to betray me, so the blame can't be solely on me. Elena has chosen to stay by my side. At only 9, she witnessed her mother's hypocrisy and decided she trusts me more. I'm both heartbroken and grateful for her loyalty. She is my priority. If there's a final lesson, illusions can crumble in an instant. You can go from suspecting something is off to discovering the worst in the span of a single morning. And though it's painful, confronting the truth is better than living a lie. I learned I'm stronger than I thought. I'm forging ahead for my daughter's sake, leaving behind a marriage that was tarnished by betrayal. That's my story. Forgetting my phone led me home early, where I caught my wife in an affair unfolding in our own kitchen. I confronted them, forced her out, and filed for divorce. Our daughter heartbreakingly stood by me. Now we move forward together, determined to find brighter days. I won't let anger define me, but I also won't let betrayal be excused by denial. We deserve a life free from deceit, even if it's just the two of us in this house that once held a family of 3.